Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and thank you, YouTuber Pernydite, for showing me offensive Meowstic. I did not know that Barrier was an egg move for Meowstic, just like how Iron Defense was an egg move for Klefki. And here it is, we essentially have Offensive Klefki 2.0, but with a lot more things that are going in its favor and a lot more drawbacks at the same time. So it's really a different playstyle of the same strategy that is completely absurd. It's actually very exciting to see this. So, Ability Prankster, status moves have their priority increased. We already know that. Calm Mind boosts special defense and special attack. Rest gets you to heal, and Barrier. So instead of Iron Defense, we have essentially Iron Defense. Boost your defense by 2, which means on that first use, your defense is getting doubled. Oh, that's just amazing. So when we look at the stats here, as we always do, I was thinking about going with that Calm Nature, raising the special defense, since that's where its points are highest. You can squeak out a couple extra points, and then just kind of spreading it how you want. I say 220 EVs in health is pretty good, because since you're going to be stat boosting so ridiculously, your effective health is going to be getting more benefit from having higher defenses, so you might as well try to play to that and sacrifice just a couple of hit points early. After that, it's like, what are you really afraid of? Do you want your defenses to be really high? Do you want your special defenses to be really high? With Meowstic, it's weak against Bug, Dark, and Ghost, so I would recommend that special defense be pretty good. But at the same time, you also want to have a good, solid defense against everything. So I was thinking about going 140, 148. You can kind of twist these around however you want. I do think that it's okay to have less defense than special defense by a good amount, because Barrier. Use that Barrier, boom. Suddenly, first turn, 450 defenses before your opponent even attacks. So now you're just going to have a crazy amount of defenses, and that's kind of how it works. Same with Calm Mind, since you have a naturally higher special defense, you can just kind of use Calm Mind, get a couple points ahead, but by that second use, you're over 500 defense. What I don't like about this strategy is Meowstic's coverage. Being a Psychic type, having Psychic be its like main stab damaging move, you lose out to Dark types, which means that it's really not that safe to have just the Psychic move. They bring a Dark type, all of your setup has gone to waste, so that's why I like having Dark Pulse. Same with Snorlax, I like having Crunch because it hits fairly well. There are a lot of things that can wall it out, but at least you're going to be able to get damage out consistently over many targets. Like, you just can't get stopped by having a Dark type move, essentially. Now, here's where the problem comes in. With Klefki, Klefki has Draining Kiss, so its heal is also its damage. That you don't have to sacrifice anything, and then it opens up a fourth item, or not fourth item, a fourth move slot that could either be, you know, Thunder Wave or some other kind of move that you would like to have. I chose Thunder Wave. But with this, you have to give that up for rest, which means that your item choicing is also going to be a little bit hindered. That you have to go with the Chesto Resto set instead of having a Citrus Berry naturally keep you up and keep you healthy. However, this still works very well. You have good defenses, you have that Barrier Calm Mind combo, and then with the Chesto Resto, you know, you're going to be resting and waking up on that same turn before your opponent even attacks, so you could be down to very, very low hit points, and then still just be like, well, now it's safe to rest. You don't have to take too many risks, and unless they have priority, your defenses should be high enough anyway to where it shouldn't be that much of a problem. And that's overall pretty good. Now, this is a lot less of a risky strategy. This is pretty much, you're going to show up, you're going to be weaker in certain areas, but you're going to set up consistently, and you're going to have reliable damage against everything, as well as the sustain. I feel that when you're building a Pokemon for tankiness, Barrier, Calm Mind, Stockpile, any kind of setup, you need that sustain, because your defenses can be awesome, but if you keep taking damage over time, it's going to catch up with you, and if you can't out-damage your opponent, they're just going to win, even with all of your setup. So that's why I like having Rest, I like having Draining Kiss, Recover, any form of that really makes it strong, because if your opponent has to go through a ton of effort to knock you out just once, well, now you're back at full health, so it's like knocking out 2, 3, 4, 5, however many times they need to actually knock you out to get you down. So this is the base strategy, but I'm also open to other ideas. So if we look at this one's a bit more risky, but is going to be a lot more consistent in damage and a lot more harder to set up against. So we look here, Barrier Calm Mind, same thing, except this time we have Psychic and Miracle Eye. Miracle Eye is awesome. So blocks evasion mods, which means that if your opponent is using evasion, this stops it, which means now you can hit through that Blissey or Chansey that's been using Minimize all game, or that Driftblim, or anything that's trying to use evasion and become just a total mean-spirited thing. Also, Psychic hits Dark. This is where it's at. So now your Psychic typing is going to hit everything, and then you're blocking evasion, so you're even going to be able to have a chance against Pokemon that can set up better than you. Well, sorry, my voice just cut out. Set up better than you. So now you're hitting harder, you're hitting more things. Great. Problem though, Leftovers is your only heal option from here that's going to be reliable. You don't have Rest bringing you back to full, and you're only getting 1/16 of your hit points. You don't have Protect, so you can't really hide behind that and keep recovering. As for Eevee's placement, it's going to be the same thing, so I didn't want to really have to worry about filling that in, if you guys are wondering. It's riskier, but the payout could be a lot better. That, you know, if you get a good setup, like your opponent has to switch to try to handle you, or you're really just going up against a physical Pokemon, you're barrier, get Calm Minds going. You know, Leftovers, while it won't be enough to heal you for enough damage that you're taking, you have the chance of setting up through that. You have the chance that your Leftovers over time, you know, after 8 turns, you've gotten half your health back, and that's just from setting up and trying to get an edge over your opponent. Once you are set up though, they're going to be doing very negligible amounts of damage to you, and that's a really good thing to have, which means now you have that extra damage kicking in for you. You have the chance to knock out evasion Pokemon. So it could work really, really well. Another problem though is that you can get statused with this. Why I like the Rest is that if they hit you with a Toxic, they hit you with Burn, you can just sleep through it, and now you know you're not going to be Toxic, you're not going to be Burned, you're not going to be taking unnecessary damage. With this, you will be. You get Toxic, you're done in a couple turns. Just game over, it doesn't matter. Leftovers can only keep you alive for so long. I wouldn't recommend this, but it's kind of like if you don't want to just, you know, have to do less damage with the Dark Pulse and be stuck in that Rest, and you would like to see like a strategy counter out evasion. This could actually work really well, you know. Chansey is setting up Minimize, Pokemon setting up Minimize. You just switch in, Calm Mind, Miracle Eye, and then start hitting them. They're either going to have to switch out all of their setup and you have free setup, or that's kind of how it works. Now, the problem is most of the Pokemon that spam evasion like that, they do carry Toxic. So you're going to kind of use this Pokemon to counter out their evasion, and then maybe try to knock out one more Pokemon before you just go down to a Toxic timer. Tough call. But that's Physical Meowstic. It has a lot of Klefki potential, a lot of overall strength. You know, that's Snorlax number 2 that I've been looking for so long, that even with 344 hit points and less, actually around the same defenses, like Snorlax does have more special defense, and depending on how you spread the defense, that can be more or less. But since you're getting that boost in first before you're taking damage, it's essentially you're getting free modifiers. So actually your defense is doubled before you're taking a hit every turn. So it's kind of like now it makes up for the lack of health that you're having more defenses, and it is effectively a Snorlax 2.0. Really, it's not as fast because it doesn't have the belly drum in the Calm Mind, but it also doesn't have limits because now you can use your defense boost more than 3 times. So overall, it can be a lot stronger, and it can frustrate your opponent. I like Dark Pulse as well because, you know, with that points, you can actually use it 24 times. One of the hindering factors is when you're not doing enough damage to an opponent and you just straight up run out of damaging moves. I have that happen to me quite a bit, so try to look for those moves that, you know, have a lot of chances to hit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yes, Psychic and Psyshock are only 16. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Just offensive Meowstic, yo, that's awesome.